So far in this series, we've talked about a bunch of things, but by far, that thing that the internet had the most opinions about was security. And I'm not gonna lie, as pertains to the internet's opinions about this subject, I have notes. But what should we take care of right after we're done addressing security? Let's talk about it. Arguably, safety is a much larger subject, and security is just one little part of that. Which brings me to my first set of notes on the comments from the last video. You see, there are things that you can say in a video that, regardless of platform, will make it so that so few people will see that video that it's hardly worth making. I'm fully aware of what those things are that can and can't be said if you want to get wide distribution. Now, if you've seen any of our videos in the past, I believe wholeheartedly in shoving as many words as I possibly can into a video. But the beautiful part about video as a medium is that a whole lot can be said without using any at all. Yes, being your own sheriff, having the means to keep your family, yourself, and your property safe is a must. But I feel like there's a lot more to that than just having a freedom seed broadcaster. Unless, of course, what you're trying to do is bait somebody onto your property so you can use it. And then what does that say about you? I'm pretty sure that focusing on that as the main part of security gives people a false sense of that's all they have to do and it's taken care of. And in my opinion, that's failing to see the forest for the trees. Speaking of forests, a lot of people who are looking into this lifestyle will come from a town or a city and buy land in a forest not knowing that a lot of forests are what are called fire-dependent ecosystems. Basically, that just means that a lot of forests have evolved over time to require fire for their health. It clears room for new growth, it adds carbon to the soil, and even makes the nutrients in the soil more bioavailable for the plants and trees and such that grow in that area. One of the most important things when setting up your homestead to take care of you and your loved ones long term is fire safety. Now that it's early July, we're starting to get into fire season, so over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing a lot of my fire season chores. There were a couple of things I'd like to show you, just so you could sort of think with what you should do first on this line. About 10% of forest fires are started by lightning strikes. 80% are started by humans. That other 10%? Space lasers. Actually, I don't really know what the other 10% is started by. Living out here, I have seen a ton of forest fires burn a swath in whatever direction the prevailing wind tends to blow them. They are intense. I say, get the most bang for your fire safety buck and start by clearing the area that the humans are going to be. Anywhere between 50 and 100 feet of clearance, either where your camp is or where it's going to be, is not only going to make you safer from fires that might start somewhere else and head toward you, but it'll also help to prevent fires that you started may spread elsewhere and then have the potential to devastate an entire community. There is no coming back from that. The very worst fire that I have seen out here may have only burned 500 acres, but that acreage was dead center in the middle of a small rural community, burned down about half of the town, causing a whole bunch of people to lose everything, and even a few folks to lose their lives. That fire was started by a homeless man trying to roast a hot dog, and he is now serving 25 years in prison for having done it. Being that guy is a fate I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. Now, does that mean you should just go around cutting down all the trees and signs of life willy-nilly in that 50 to 100-foot zone around your house? No. Fire starts where and whenever it starts. And then it has a tendency to move along the ground on the sticks and twigs that are there, dry brush, the undergrowth, until it finds its way to a tree that has branches that are near the ground as well. Those go up, the whole tree goes up, it spreads to the next tree, or goes on the ground and goes to the next tree, and the cycle just continues until you have an out-of-control forest fire. Now, our existing property is basically all taken care of, but here on the new property, none of that stuff has been done. One of my first projects for this fire chore season is going to be to clear all of this out. It'll also make it easier for me to put my fence up along the front perimeter, since that's where most of the trees are. You start by cutting back all of the dry, overgrown grass. Then any of the dead bushes and brush that are around that are dry and just waiting to go up. You get rid of the dead and trimmed branches that are piled up perfectly like you'd start a campfire. And then once you've got all of the fuel that's on the ground that can spread a fire, you move to the trees and you trim all of the branches up at least as high as the tallest person in your party can reach with a chainsaw. It has the side benefit of also making it so that when you're running through your property for any number of reasons, you don't take a branch to the dome, winding up on your back like I fall on my skateboard. Ask me how I know. And then that also has the additional benefit of making it possible for you to easily weave your fence in between all of these trees, which on our property are all out by the perimeter, making it difficult to fence. Going back to that security thing, see? Synergy. Now, another benefit to this is that when you clear that area around your camp or where you're going to build your home, that area can later on become your zone 1 garden or food forest, and it'll make it way easier and more efficient when you're ready to actually do that function. Will this 100% of the time keep you and your family safe from forest fires? Unfortunately not. With fires, there seems to be an element of luck involved, but the more you do to increase your chances of getting lucky in an unpredictable, dangerous situation, the less likely you're going to be to have all of your hard work and everything that you've built so far taken away from you in a forest fire. And that's just science. Space lasers from the planet Fluvog sent by the Illuminati. This is that new TikTok banger right here. Biometrically calibrated space lasers. Use that sound. Go viral. Enter to win your share of $800. Space lasers, specifically operating at a frequency necessary to control giant swaths of bees who were genetically engineered in a Wuhan lab to start fires with their static electricity. This is gonna be awesome.